In Nigeria, there are many, whereby something like 30 billion was kept in overseas banks. No government has claimed that money back. During our time, when there was one-party state, all the leaders kept their money in Swiss banks. I have not heard an African country or bank or African Union or SADC or any other grouping that said we are going back to Switzerland to ask the Swiss banks to give us the money that our leaders deposited so that we can develop Africa. It is a forgotten story because Swiss bank is clever. The next of kins in those bank accounts are not known by anyone in Africa. And most of those leaders are dead. No one will claim that money. And that is the money that is now sponsoring laboratories, engineering institutions, factories in those countries. While here, our graduates in Africa, they are encouraged and promoted to go and talk deeper English in country clubs, in golf clubs, in hotels, and in bars, where wine, Chardonnay, where wines is exchanging hands and glasses. Ask them, what are you doing for Africa? They will not tell you any. They will not give you any. That is the problem of Africa. Now, today, we need to unveil the secret for us to move forward as a continent. For us to move forward, we need to do one only thing. We need to speak with one voice. We need to unite and develop what they call self-confidence. Because with the history that I've just told you now, there's no need an African will walk there as a worker. There's no need for an African to move there as a servant. There's no need for an African to be moving there as a slave. No more. Because all these things that we hear were planted on us, but they are not true. What is true is what I've told you, that from history immemorial, Abraham up to Jesus Christ, they get all their wisdom, all their senses, all their consciousness in Africa. Now the question is, why are we the poorest? With all this rich history, why are we the poorest with all this that we know? This is a rich history for us. The answer is simple. Because we have allowed our own beliefs to be exchanged by the beliefs of other people. We have allowed to be told the history of other people, leaving our own. We have accepted the past to be our way of life. You know, there's only one thing that Africans do. Whenever it comes to political freedom, we rise up and fight. When it comes to identity freedom, we keep quiet. This is why I'm speaking with you in English. But there is a language that we all could communicate and tell Chinese that if you want to invest in Africa, speak our language first. But because we don't have self-confidence, we cannot unite. We are so scattered in languages, and then we are forced to say, you will rather speak a foreign language for you to communicate. Today, we have to speak in English, or we speak in French, or we speak in Portuguese, or we speak in Arabic, or we speak through, Spanish. Our own very languages that makes us a rich race have been sidelined or pushed under the carpet. But if you can remember from the time I came here, I greeted you in my African language. I said, Habari Africa. Habari zanu Africa. Because I want to remind you that we are here to identify our true identity. We are here to claim our true origins. That is how we come with the utopian philosophy. The question that comes is, what is utopian philosophy? I said that. Realization. The moment a person realizes, whether you were sleeping, you know that I was sleeping, I was dreaming. You wake up. That's realization. The moment that you remember something from what you were thinking before and you see this is right, that's realization. The moment you know that this was wrong, this is what is right, that's realization. And this is what defeats all systems of the world today. Today, utopian philosophy defeats socialism. Today, utopian philosophy defeats capitalism. Today, utopian philosophy defeats monarchism. Today, utopian philosophy defeats aristocracy. Today, utopian philosophy defeats communism because realism has taken over. And that's African root of survival. That's African root and beginning of its renaissance. Fellow Africans, we have suffered a lot. We have suffered a lot, and it's time that we all rise up. Because the lies have been told, the deception has been done, the destruction has been done, but we still exist. Which calls for utopian philosophy, calling on African governments today to rise up. COVID-19 has been defeated. Because if we talk about statistics of the country that has been affected so much in this continent is South Africa. But South Africa by today, they have 86% containment of this disease, meaning that it's defeated. I don't even see that it will take a week or two before the government of South Africa opens up the economy, leading to the opening of borders. Because that's one hectic matter that needs to be addressed here. African economy is intertwined from one nation to another. I said that before, that Africans, according to the exotic borders we have, that's not what the Africa is. The Africa that we know is intertwined, entangled, regardless of the tongue that we speak. Because the truth is, I'll give you SADC region as an example. You will find 20% of Zambians in Malawi. You will find 30 or 50% of Malawians in Zambia. You will find 10% of Zimbabweans in Mozambique. You will find over 30% of Mozambicans in Zimbabwe. You will find almost 50% of Angolans in Namibia. And you will find almost 40% of Namibians in Angola. You will find almost 30% of Botswana people in South Africa. Likewise, South Africans are everywhere in SADC region. You will find over 40% of Basotho people from Lesotho in South Africa. And you will find a lot of South Africans in Swaziland, Eswatini. This must tell us that we will not get rich, we will not develop this continent if we continue believing in the exotic borders that were drawn by those that came to divide us. As it is now, it's a shame that with COVID-19 lockdown, funerals that took place in 5 months have been poorly attended. Because if one dies in South Africa, a relative is somewhere in Botswana, a relative is somewhere in Namibia, a relative is somewhere in Lesotho, a relative is somewhere in Zimbabwe, a relative is somewhere in Mozambique, that were supposed to come and attend this funeral. But COVID-19 denied us. And we as Africans, we accept. Today, let it be known to each and every African that when such diseases and plagues are given, because we are given. When such diseases and plagues come, before we start taking measures, let's think about our originality, our background, our history. This mistake that Africa made of locking down borders was the greatest mistake that it has not and it must not repeat again. It was wrong, and it's wrong because the economy of Africa depends on one other nation. There's no way one economy can say we are enough, we are fine. Never. It is interdependent. You depend on one nation. You depend on this nation for us to survive. Therefore, closing borders was a wrong mistake that we copied from the Western world. I'll say again, the Western world is completely governed in economy. Africa has not reached that stage. We still run informal economy. It's hand to mouth. While our colleagues in the Western world, in the Eastern world, that theirs is corporate. It's already in system. They can stay in the house. They can order groceries. It will get them at home. They'll pay through the wire. Telephonically or telegraphic transfers. That is the system that has been introduced in Europe, in America, in Eastern world. But Africa has not reached that stage yet. And if you close the border, whoever advised you to do that hates you. Whoever advised you to close borders hates